It is week 3 in the Lindsay Clancy trial. The Massachusetts mother is on trial for killing her 3 children. One of Lindsay Clancy's psychiatrists is on the stand right now facing cross-examination. Clancy has admitted to killing her children, but her lawyers maintain she was experiencing postpartum psychosis at the time. She has pleaded not guilty. CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman joins us now. So, Katrina, what are we expecting to hear from court today?
So we're currently hearing from Dr. Jennifer Tufts, and this is one of the first medical professionals or mental health professionals that Lindsay Clancy went to. She saw her more than a dozen times in a period of over a year before these killings happened, including on the day before the killings. But what she testified Friday is that she hadn't expressed any suicidal thoughts, any thoughts of harming anyone else. She's being cross-examined by the defense now, so they're, of course, going to be trying to poke holes in that, about what her mental state was, about whether she was being appropriately treated, all these medicines that she was prescribed. You know, she was trying to go to all of these mental health professionals and get help, and clearly it didn't work.
Yeah, so we heard from one of her psychiatrists, Dr. Aaliyah Goodhart, last week. I want to play a little bit of what she had to say.
How many patients have you treated, how many women have you treated that were suffering from postpartum psychosis?
I don't recall. I don't remember, but I think it would stick in my memory, so I don't think that I probably have.
Help me unpack that. I mean, I don't understand. She's her doctor, and this is a terrible situation. And don't doctors keep notes? Don't they? What's going on there?
I mean, I think what she's saying is it sounds like she had not previously treated someone who had this postpartum psychosis, and perhaps that's why signs were missed here. I mean, she also testified that she saw Lindsay Clancy in this period right before these killings happened, that she actually said she had a reason to live for her family, for her children.
Lindsay told her that?
Yeah, Lindsay told her that. And so she too was saying that she saw her shortly before this happened, and she didn't think that there were suicidal thoughts of harming someone else. But then we also hear her say that she doesn't recall ever treating someone who might have had the psychosis, so maybe she wasn't aware of the signs.
It just makes me wonder, if you are unfamiliar with what is happening with a patient, why wouldn't you recommend the patient see a specialist or somebody else? I don't know anything about the field of psychiatry, but I just, you know, it seems as if we've been talking about this for a while, that there were so many signs, warning signs leading up to this, including the discussion that we don't often have, which is what happens postpartum for a lot of women. And it strikes me that, and hindsight is 20/20, but if you've got a medical professional and they're not seeing anything, that's disturbing.
What strikes me too is that she seemed to seek help.
Yes.
She saw
She's looking for help.
Many
Yes.
medical professionals. Right. She was prescribed many, a variety of drugs, which is part of what she blames.
Something is
yes. But it's just like this. The story it's so horrible.
And that's what's so heartbreaking about this case, is that you see that she was really trying to get help, and yet this consequence happened. And I do want to note there was an interesting decision in Massachusetts last week related to a very similar case. Another mother, she was convicted of killing her 2 sons, and the Supreme Court of Massachusetts actually just threw that out because the very same judge who is presiding over Lindsay Clancy's trial, they say he improperly didn't allow in her medical records that might have upheld more of an insanity plea for her. So that's now, that person is going to get a retrial. But it's interesting, the same judge, same district attorney, a very similar case in a lot of ways.
I think the ages of the kids really matters too. I mean, Lindsay had just had a child within a year. We've covered so many other cases where people kill their children. Their children are older. But thank you so much, Katrina. This is so hard to talk about, but we appreciate your expertise.
Witness testimony resumes today in the trial against a mother who admitted to killing her 3 children in early 2023. And once again, Lindsay Clancy's mental health is at the forefront. Her lawyers argue she's not criminally responsible for the murders because she was over-medicated and experiencing extreme postpartum psychosis. And up on the stand so far, 2 psychiatric nurse practitioners who previously treated Clancy. Let's go live now to our legal contributor, Jessica Levinson. Hey, Jessica. So what have testimonies today revealed about Clancy?
So testimony today is frankly a lot of what we saw yesterday, in the sense of we know she got psychiatric treatment, and the prosecution is trying to make the case that nobody ever diagnosed her with psychosis. Nobody ever thought it was going to get to this point, that she saw a number of different either nurse practitioners or psychiatrists, and nobody listed that designation of entering psychosis or having psychotic thoughts that the defense obviously would want. Now, the defense is arguing, yes, she saw a lot of people, but look at what happened with respect to each of them. Each one of them failed her. And so I think in many ways, the defense is trying to put the mental health care that she and others have gotten on the stand and say, did this person have actually any expertise in postpartum depression? Did this person ever see you in person? Did this person listen when you said, I'm having sleep issues and severe anxiety, et cetera, et cetera? So we're continuing to see more of the prosecution saying she might have been suffering severe mental health issues, but not to the point where she's not criminally culpable. And the defense saying, absolutely, she was experiencing mental health issues to that point, and the entire system failed her.
And before testimony even started today, the attorneys, they argued about potential testimony from a TikToker who posted about her experience working at the same hospital Clancy was admitted to. What's at the core of this dispute?
So the prosecution is arguing that this particular person was employed before Clancy ever got to that hospital. That I think the prosecution's line this morning was, this is not TripAdvisor. We don't get to call in people who worked at this particular hospital and have them give reviews. We only want to hear from people who treated Clancy or who have firsthand knowledge of her experience in the hospital. The defense is saying this is helpful to us because it shows that she was not getting adequate care, which, again, to our previous conversation, is the theme of the defense, that she was seeking help and she wasn't getting it from people who were properly providing it. So the judge essentially has to look at what a judge always has to look at in these cases. Is the testimony more prejudicial than probative? Which at its basic core is this going to hurt more than it helps?
Wow, so many attention on this case, so we'll see what happens. Jessica Levinson, thank you so much for your insight.
Staying in Massachusetts, another emotional day in the trial of the mother who admitted to killing her 3 children. Lindsay Clancy broke down in tears today as an expert from the medical examiner's office described the injuries to one of her children. And as CBS News Boston's Penny Commit shows us, the judge had to stop testimony to give Clancy a break.
About injury.
I can't do it. That's what Lindsay Clancy was heard yelling in the middle of a medical examiner's testimony.
Did you perform an autopsy on Cora Clancy on January 25th, 2023?
Yes.
Several jurors were seen crying as autopsy photos were shown and described. Lindsay continuously sobbed, and twice the judge called a break.
Did you ever in this visit see signs of mania?
No.
Earlier, testimony focused on Lindsay herself. Mental health counselor Letitia Dukes met with Lindsay 4 times in late 2022, just weeks before she killed her 3 kids. Twice, she says, Lindsay reported calling a crisis hotline.
She had a difficult weekend, having intrusive thoughts about wanting to die, and that she had contacted Aspire Crisis Support. She met with the clinician virtually and was told that she did not meet the criteria for inpatient treatment due to having no SI plan, suicidal ideation plan.
Duke says Lindsay showed signs of postpartum anxiety and depression, never psychosis. But ask the defense.
And when it hits you, it just hits you. Bang. Quick, right?
Correct.
The defense then tried to get ahead of the prosecution's theory that Lindsay faked a psychosis, only reporting to hearing voices after meeting with her doctor. Sergeant Dan Lawler recalled hearing that theory during a conversation with the case's lead investigator.
That it was the psychologist that planted that idea in her mind. That's the theory, isn't it?
That would be the theory, but I don't recall having...
Wait. Your answer is that would be the theory, right?
Correct.
Was there anything about a conversation that you had with Trooper McGilligan about this theory that affects your testimony as you stand here today?
No.
We still haven't heard from that lead investigator, but it does appear we are inching towards the end of the prosecution's witness list. We expect tomorrow to be a full day of testimony. In Plymouth, I'm Penny Commit, WBZ News.
Journal entries read aloud in court yesterday paint a picture of the mental state of Lindsay Clancy, the mother accused of killing her 3 children. A Massachusetts State Police investigator took the stand yesterday in her murder trial, and he was asked about the writings found on Clancy's phone. Now, while some of the entries were positive, such as one that read, "I love my kids," others appeared to show signs of an inner struggle. One entry said, "I want to feel happy, but it would be nice to feel authentically happy and not fake." Clancy has admitted to killing her 3 kids, but her defense argues she was suffering from postpartum psychosis and she was over-medicated. I want to bring in Abby Patkin now. She's been covering the trial for Boston.com and joins us with the latest. Abby, good morning. What else was in that journal, and why did the prosecution have that read?
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Those journal entries, as you saw, are pretty emotional stuff. She lists out some affirmations, I am a good mom, I love my kids. But then she also writes extensively about feeling sad and guilty that she's not able to be fully present for all 3 kids. And actually, prosecutors have made hay of her, saying that she resented her 2 older children for taking up some of the time that she could otherwise dedicate to her infant. But she also mentions her internal struggle about wanting more children eventually, and also knowing that her mental health is not where it needs to be for that to happen.
And Abby, Clancy's internet searches and photos were also brought up. What did we learn from that?
Yeah, so we heard about her Google searches for bipolar symptoms, psychosis, different mental health treatments, schizophrenia, suicide methods, hallucinations, but also notably mixed in with that were, as her defense attorney points out, were some day-to-day stuff about just raising her children, Paw Patrol, slime recipes, trampoline park.
I want to ask about this also. Yesterday afternoon, the prosecution asked for logs to show who's been visiting Lindsay Clancy. Who is visiting her, and what was the prosecution looking for there?
Yeah, so prosecutors specifically pointed out that a forensic psychologist working with the defense has been visiting her, as well as a priest who is close with Lindsay and her family. And while they requested logs for all visits to Lindsay throughout the trial, the judge ended up only granting access to the forensic psychologist, basically saying, if he gets called later, prosecutors will want information on his later meetings with Lindsay.
And looking ahead to next week, what can we expect in the trial?
Yeah, prosecutors seem to be wrapping up their case, so we could see them rest sometime early next week, and then the defense will start making their case, calling witnesses, and really starting to wrap up the trial.
All right, Abby Patkin, thanks for joining us. Always important to remember when we talk about stories like this, if you or someone you know needs help, you can call or text the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at 988, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.